Through my dissertation, I will explore how we can design campaigns to create awareness of mental health in our society, to remove social stigma, and to allow people to express themselves in relation to their personal experience with mental health issues. Through research, I would like to find out more about the role motion graphics and design can play in breaking taboos surrounding mental health, raise awareness among the public, and explore possibilities of how motion graphics design can help improving mental health. In these times of the global pandemic, mental health has become a more relevant topic than ever, as we've seen a dramatic rise in reported symptoms of anxiety and depressive disorder. Part of my exploration will be finding out why, despite a certain degree of normalization regarding mental ill health during this pandemic, stigmatization and stereotyping surrounding mental illness still persist in society. So, why do stereotypes surrounding mental illness persist in our society, and what is the reason they are perpetuated? In his study, Graphic Depictions, Portrayals of Mental Illness in Video Games, Samuel Shapiro looks at the depiction of mental illness in video games, and whether video games perpetuate the stereotypical link between mental illness and violence. Samuel posits that research has shown that mass media, such as films, generally portrays individuals with mental illness as violent, criminal, and dangerous, and wonders whether video games show the same. Shapiro continues that there have been few attempts at classifying depictions of mental illness in the media. For instance, Heiler, Gabbard, and Schneider proposed 6 predominant stereotypes of mental illness in cinema: the rebellious free spirit, the homicidal maniac, the female patient as seductress, the enlightened member of society, the narcissistic parasite, and the zoo specimen. For example, in the 2000 Jim Carrey movie Me, Myself and Irene. However, there have been no such studies when it comes to video games. Based on Shapiro's review of search terms and video footage, 23 of the 96 identified games depicted at least one character with mental illness. 17 of these 96 games contained at least one character classified as a homicidal maniac. As someone who has a child himself that plays video games, this is hugely worrying, and we need to study further how we can use this medium not to perpetuate stereotypes but to challenge them. When we look at cultures different from ours, we see similar patterns emerging regarding mental health stigmatization, albeit perhaps with different motivations. According to a report by the WHO made in 2001, almost 1 out of 5 Lebanese women suffer from mental illness, and yet only 4% seek further treatment out of fear of stigmatization. In their article, Mental Health Stigma Related to Novel Coronavirus Disease in Older Adults, Hadi Tehrani confirms that stigma and fear of stigma are very important in Eastern cultures, such as Iran. Because in these cultures, issues such as misconceptions and labeling of patients, the use of words with negative connotations, the spread of misinformation on social networks, and the use of derogatory terms that make people feel guilty are very common. This is confirmed by Dr. Justin Thomas, Professor of Psychology at Zayed University in Abu Dhabi and author of Psychological Well-Being in the Gulf States, when he told Arab News, "Stigmatization of people with mental illness is very real, and in spite of the many brave celebrity self-disclosures, it persists and will undoubtedly continue to endure for generations to come." While most nations no longer attempt to exterminate or sterilize people with mental health issues, we do continue to shun, stigmatize, demonize, and discriminate, he added. Looking at the large variety of minority cultures within Scottish society, it will definitely be worth further exploring the attitude of minority cultures towards mental health in the context of my own dissertation. Noor Azila Azahari of the University of Malaysia Perlis looked at different concepts of motion graphic and the question whether motion graphics are an effective method to create a mental health awareness campaign. Her research, as outlined in that paper called Use of Motion Graphics to Create Awareness on Handling Stress, concludes that, based on comparative analysis of existing YouTube videos and concepts contained therein, such as duration, color use, music, and typography, motion graphics can indeed be a suitable medium to create an awareness campaign, with the caveat that it requires some optimal factors and a strong narrative. While Noor looked at different concepts such as use of color, typography, and music, her conclusions do not contain any specific analytical outcomes as to how their application can influence mental health attitudes. Certainly, she mentions that colors help to lift mood and can affect the viewer. However, her research does not show evidence as to why this happens. For my own research, I am very interested in exploring both the psychological and cultural implications of these concepts and their application in the context of mental health awareness. Rob Whitley of the Department of Psychiatry at McGill University in Montreal studied the feasibility of participatory video, or PV, as a method of stigma reduction in his 2020 paper, "Can Participatory Video Reduce Mental Illness Stigma?" Results from a Canadian action research study of feasibility and impact. With stigma against people with mental illness remaining high, Whitley states that this demands innovative approaches such as PV. This innovative method involves marginalized people coming together to script, film, and produce ground-level educational videos about shared experiences, which are then shown to target groups. While the results are preliminary, the results do show that participatory video is a feasible method of stigma reduction, at least in the chosen target group, and that the resultant videos from the experiment showing evidence that they can indeed help reduce viewer stigma. Viewer questionnaires indicated that viewers reported an increased understanding after watching the videos. I agree with Whitley that innovation may be required in tackling mental health stigma, especially within the context of the current pandemic, with more and more people experiencing ill effects from long-term isolation and inactivity, and signs of growing normalization. Now is a great opportunity to change minds and perceptions. Seeking the participation of people who experience mental health issues themselves may be instrumental in creating design that is both effective in combating stereotype and stigma. As this has been the first large-scale research project of this kind, this could be a promising avenue to take within my own research as part of a possible collaborative project or for further study. For my own dissertation, I aim to expand on the existing research I've just discussed through a variety of different research methodology. Thank you for listening. Thank you.